Ladies and gentlemen, this morning in Marvel Strike Force, we have seen some honestly ridiculous buffs to both Thanos and Star-Lord that I think are literally meta-shaking, game-changing buffs to both of the characters. Like, they're going to have such a wider impact on the game. They open up so many additional combo avenues with various factions as well. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that in a lot of detail and some of the stuff that can be done now because of some of the changes to these characters. Thanos is going to have an incredible impact on the Cosmic campaign if you've already got the character, and for the future of raids and fights with a lot of minions could honestly be so incredibly ridiculous with certain combos. And Star-Lord is just, you know, elevated the Guardians of the Galaxy team to a whole new level. The character's got so much better, and alongside that, his ability energy funnel that he now has to adjacent ally is just mind-blowing ridiculous for certain combinations of characters, which we're going to talk about. And also we have buffs to Loki as well, who hasn't been released yet, and you know, they're gonna milk him, have a few offers, and then we're probably gonna have Arena for Loki, so hopefully he's not gonna be too bad to get. But man, oh man, am I excited. But I do want to address kind of the big concern at the moment, and the stuff that, you know, Reddit and a lot of people are a little bit grumbled at, and that's the availability of Thanos and Star-Lord. Obviously, these two characters have become substantially stronger, and at the same time, they're very late-game characters. In order to get Thanos, you had to be playing during the Infinity War event, where they were very, very generous with the Thanos shards, and then we had the Thanos raids come back, and they were super, super stingy. Like, unless you were 100% completing the Thanos raids, which was like My Alliance and maybe like 3 or 4 more, you weren't getting any Thanos shards at all. And I think this balance update would have been much better received if Thanos was a much more available character and they hadn't been super, super stingy when it came to the return of the Thanos raids. And it would have been kind of a nice halfway marker, you know, like the Spider-Man and Vision one. That was very well received because a lot of people had Spider-Man and it was a huge buff to the character. Not a lot of people had Vision, but you know, it was like a 50-50, whereas this one is mainly like it's free characters for the endgame whales. So it's just an even bigger gap, even bigger divide. So overall, I can understand why a lot of people are a little bit grumbly about this, but here's hoping that they increase the availability of Thanos, and hopefully by the time the Star-Lord event comes around again, because the Star-Lord unlock wasn't too bad to do. However, you know, farming Rocket, I think, was kind of the what is it? The biggest pain in the ass to unlock a 5-star Star-Lord. And people that started at launch, I'm not too sure of anybody that started at launch that got Star-Lord just by being kind of a free-to-play player and playing on a daily basis. Because yeah, you needed 5 of the Guardians or Ravager characters at 5-star. So Star-Lord was a bit of a stiff unlock. And because this character now just looks absolutely insane, yeah, I have a feeling we might be in for a little bit of a shake-up in terms of the meta. But my hope is that they stop being so stingy with the Thanos shards and just make him a little bit more available, because these two character buffs are honestly so awesome, and I really wish more players had access to some of these characters. But anyway, now let's talk about the buffs, now that I've got my bitching and whining out of the way. So the Thanos buff, the two things that make this buff absolutely insane. He's got a base stat increase, which I really didn't notice too much. The damage and speed doesn't really feel like it, if I'm perfectly honest, but the two things that make him really, really insane now is Brutal Assault, his second ability has a 100% chance for offense down, available earlier, and also Taunt is increased to 2 turns at level 6. So his Taunt is famously known for being super, super hard to get rid of. Only 2 characters, I believe, I think Jessica Jones and also Hand Archer, are the only 2 characters that can get rid of it fairly reliably, and I think both of them maybe have a chance to resist as well. But if you have the Taunt up and also Kingpin's defense up, which is going to arrive slightly later, then that is the perfect combo for just an absolute brick wall to get through. So that is going to make Thanos such a chunky lad, especially when it comes to some blitz teams there. And on top of that, one of the main things about Thanos that didn't really make him a great character is because his energy bomb and also his Taunt, you know, they cost a fair bit of energy, and his basic attack really, really sucked. However, his passive has got an upgrade now, Titan Eternal, and this is the one that has a 75% chance to grant 2 ability on energy on death to either himself or any adjacent cosmic ally. And now, instead of when ever it used to be only when Thanos killed one of the enemies, and now it's whenever anybody on the team kills an enemy. So you can imagine if you've got a lot of minions and you use something like Rocket Raccoon's ultimate and like 10 minions die, this is going to be like a shit ton of ability energy. Like Thanos is going to be fully fueled, and any cosmic adjacent allies are also going to be fully fueled. So yeah, this is just absolutely ridiculously game-changing for Thanos, and might make him honestly one of the most insane characters when it comes to big minion-heavy fights and raids. But yeah, has a lot of interesting potential with cosmics, and there are a lot of cosmic characters. You know, if we just quickly flick to the cosmic screen and have a look at some characters that might be able to you know, take a huge amount of advantage of this. We have Yondu with minion summons, we've got Gamora with our ultimate single target, Star-Lord with all his crazy stuff, and we're going to talk about that soon. We've got Rocket as well with his ultimate, Thor with his ultimate. We could have like some crazy like, what is it, chain ultimate wipeout teams with Rocket Raccoon and also Thor placed either side of Thanos. So yeah, the potential of this Thanos buff is honestly so incredibly ridiculous, and I'm very, very excited for it. We've also got Drax, Mordo with the blinds, Doctor Strange as well with his revive. We got Cable for speed control. So yeah, there's just some really, really interesting stuff that could come out of this, and so much potential combo that has opened up and can be explored now because of this Thanos buff. Now, to talk about the second character, we've got Star-Lord. So the first thing is he's got his base stats, his health has been increased. The element gun basic has now been reformulated to guarantee that he chains onto an additional enemy. Clever Distraction now grants ability energy to adjacent allies, so if you position him right at the end, it's going to guarantee that it goes to a certain ally. And because Star-Lord is quite a fast character, he's got 120 speed, this can open up some very, very interesting combos and allow characters that have very slow building ultimates to get there very, very rapidly. So just in terms of some of the cool synergy that I've been playing about with this morning, Hawkeye is one, because you can instantly get to his blind on the first turn, funneling in 2 ability energy to him, so that's an amazing control play on the first turn there. We also have the one with Night Nurse as well, because obviously the big value in Night Nurse is a big ultimate heal, so yeah, just funneling ability energy into that is going to make her substantially more effective. Also, you know, Star-Lord providing the blind is just great for additional mitigation there. We also have the combination with Kingpin. Again, this wouldn't be a turn 1 ability, but you could use it on the second turn after Kingpin has used both his defense up and offense up to help him get there substantially quicker. I'm pretty much almost ensure that every turn on Kingpin, you're either going to have the defense up and offense up or the taunt if you were to play it correctly, which could be very, very powerful in certain matchups. You could also go with Black Widow as well to help her get to the stun very, very fast and also fuel that stun up very, very quickly. Maybe the combination of Captain America as well, because if you're an endgame player, if you've got Black Widow, you know that Black Widow's stun, you know, the 2 components that make it so desirable is the stun, but also the bleed off it is just absolutely ridiculous. So that could be crazy in certain very small concentrated matchups for keeping a primary target controlled while also dealing a ton of bleed damage to additional opponents. We also have the combination again with Yondu. You could summon a ton of additional Ravengers, but one of the things about this as well, because it's adjacent allies, if you are bringing in more minions and they get in the way of certain characters, then the ability energy could go to a minion and it could be completely wasted. So that's something to keep in mind as well, with also the Star-Lord and also the Thanos buff as well. So yeah, just got to keep that in mind, that ability additional minions kind of are the somewhat, I don't know if counter is the word, but yeah, they kind of may screw up your strategy at certain points there. We also have Vision, if you want to get kind of more dispels on the enemy, if you want to get more ability blocks as well, which could be really, really powerful. We got Doctor Strange for funneling guaranteed ability energy if you want to get the heal, the revive off, and also more Winds of Watum to reverse even more buffs if there's a very, very heavy kind of buff lineup. So yeah, that could be really, really good. We've also got Mordo, who has both the synergy with, you know, Thanos being a cosmic character and also Star-Lord as well, so you get lots of blinds, lots of heal blocks there, very valuable in the Cosmic campaign. You've also got Ant-Man as well. Now this one might be a little bit circumstantial, but Ant-Man in comparison to Vision has a 2-turn ability block on a single target. So if there is like a really chunky boss whose kind of main threat is like an ultimate ability, and you know the aim of the fight is just to keep him controlled or ability blocked, maybe that might be a really useful combo to do. So yeah, Ant-Man, I don't know, circumstantially might have a bit of a use there. We've also got the potential synergy with Cable for further speed control. If you want to, you know, sap big parts of the opponent's speed bar as well, that could be very useful for maybe getting a couple of those off, or like a turn 1 ultimate on Cable. So yeah, some interesting stuff there. Or just, you know, funnel it into a big character like Rocket Raccoon if you want some big area of effect damage. Now, also one of the additional things which we're going to talk about is the Improvisation Passive. So Guardians allies now receive extra speed and damage, and also chance to grant ability energy has been increased, and ability energy will now be granted to Guardian and adjacent allies. So this passive has changed a little bit, and it changes kind of how all the Guardians characters interact. Just to kind of I think it's better if I open Star-Lord to explain this, just so we can show you exactly. So Star-Lord's passive now reads, on turn, 50% chance to generate 1 ability energy for an adjacent ally, plus generate 1 to 2 ability energy to a Guardian ally. So this has been increased from 30% to 50%, and honestly, 50% is a really great thing. That means average 1 and 2 turns, you're going to get ability energy to an adjacent ally, and also thrown out to Guardians as well. And also, this passive gives Guardian allies plus 30% damage, which is huge for Gamora and Rocket. So much additional damage there. And also Guardian allies gain plus 20% speed. However, these two effects do not apply to Star-Lord. It's just the additional characters. So Rocket is actually a little bit slower than Star-Lord, but with this, Rocket goes before Star-Lord. So that's something to keep in mind. So I think in terms of, you know, maybe optimally playing like Star-Lord and Rocket in a longer matchup, you might want to save the Clever Distraction if you want to unleash like a really big ultimate, like 2 turns in a row. I think there's a really good chance of doing that if you position the characters, so Star-Lord is in the end and then Rocket, which could help you blow through 2 waves of enemies very quickly. So yeah, could be some very interesting stuff and potential there. So I'm buzzing, man. I'm absolutely buzzing for the level 65 raids. They're going to be very fun, hopefully, with Star-Lord. So, yeah, in terms of the Star-Lord buff, that is it. So, just to recap all of the stuff, the first ability now has a guaranteed chance to chain onto 1 opponent, with a small chance to chain up to an additional 1 as well. So, a total of 3 targets there, instead of a 30% chance. The second ability now grants 2 ability energy to a random adjacent ally. So, you can either, you know, spread this across 2 characters and kind of roll the dice, but I would say it's more effective to try and build a team around, you know, funneling it guaranteed into 1 ally at a certain point there, and also blinds the opponent, which it did before. We've got a little bit more damage on the ultimate. You've got an assist from a Guardian ally at a much lower level, and also an assist from an additional ally, so you've got a bit more damage on that as well. And the passive, which on turn has a 50% chance to potentially throw out 2 to 3 ability energy, 1 to an adjacent ally, and 1 to 2 to random Guardians allies, and also Guardians allies gain 30% more damage and also 20% more speed. So yeah, overall just an absolute game changer for the full Guardians combo. It's working very effectively. Me and OXT have been thrown down a little bit this morning in Arena, battling for the first and second spots, and at the moment I've created a defense that hasn't been beaten yet. So apart from OXT is the only person that's beaten my defense, but he's got a full like level 65 roster that's fully stacked out. But just in terms of the defense that I'm using at the moment, this is the one, and it's an absolute fun clown fiesta of Crossbones getting his explosion turn 1, and Vision being very powerful for, what is it, applying the defense up to himself, Rocket, Star-Lord, and also Crossbones and Drax. We've also been messing about with full Guardians teams as well, but again, it's only day 1 of these changes. There is so much to come for this for the future, and we are going to be sharing quite a bit of gameplay of over the next few days for the buffs of these new characters. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed today's recap video of the buffs and also a little bit of theory crafting as well. We're going to have some really cool stuff coming on the channel that I've already recorded. So yeah, if you want to see it, feel free to smash that like button, make sure to subscribe to the channel. But apart from that, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.